Hey Hebrew fans, this is Todd. So I decided to go ahead and remake the stand for Shadow Weaver. As you guys remember, this is the stand that I had before, and it's kind of foggy. And so I went and made a brand new one, and look how much more clear that one is. Way better. I figured out a way to make it so it looks better. One is when it comes off the 3D printer, usually you coat your 3D stuff in resin. I decided, you know what? It's made it to the resin printer. I'm just going to go ahead and cure it before I clear off all the resin, and then I hit it with a clear coat of paint, and it looks way better. I did make the base a little bit larger so it fits tighter like the other one does. There we go. And you can see now much clearer. So now I got my Orco that I showed you guys last night, and I have my Shadow Weaver bases now, so they are set. All right, so that's the update on my bases. And just for height comparison, you can see how they look next to the standard He-Man figure. So they are the right height now, like they should be. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about my 5 favorite. Actually, you know what? It's more than just my 5 favorite, but it's actually my favorite Masters of the Universe. Now, when I say Masters of the Universe figures, I don't just mean the good guys. And I don't know why 2000X started calling them Masters just for the good guys. For me, there are evil Masters and there are heroic Masters. And so these are the Masters of the Universe. So when it comes to the good guys, my favorite was these 5 right here: He-Man, Ram-Man, Tila, Man-E-Faces, and Man-at-Arms. So those were my go-to good guys. And my go-to bad guys was Merman, Triclops with his spinning eye, Trap Jaw, and Beastman, and of course Evelyn and Skeletor. So I'm going to go down memory lane a little bit and kind of talk about some of these figures. First of all, as I mentioned before, my Evelyn review, this is a Batman cape from the Batman movie, the 80s, from the figure. I also got another one for Skeletor, so they can both sport the cool capes. And what's nice about these Batman capes is they actually have an extra flange you can pull around and that tuck underneath, and they just kind of give that extra thing. So this is the Batman movie from the 80s, the one that Tim Burton made, and starring Michael Keaton. It's that action figure. Had a little pull thing you pull out with the string. So one thing, though, is you guys have figured out is my Evil Lynn has now been replaced with the brand new Evil Lynn. Let's see, here she is. So she's now my new baddie. The bad part is what I like about this Evil Lynn, 2 things. One, she had the glowing. I found the glow-in-the-dark one, and I added the knife. I may have to do something like that with this Evil Lynn. But the cool thing is this Evil Lynn already comes with a cape. So she is part of my new baddies now. So that actually, I like the Evil Lynn better. My other replacement is this Beast Man right here. And my replacement for this Beast Man is this Beast Man. Now this Beast Man's kind of cool because there's this place called Hair Club for G.I. Joe, and they actually repair G.I. Joes by redoing their hair. And they've been certified so that when they do the new hair repair or the hair restoration, it does not devalue the G.I. Joes. So I contacted the guy and said, hey, can you do it for my action figure? So I sent him Beastman, and I think when I sent it to him, I had him pulled apart, and he left a bald spot on top for me, so it's kind of cool, and a bald spot on the abs. And so it's just kind of a cool feature. And look really close, you can see the cool different shades to make up the brownish orange. I guess when they do G.I. Joe's hair, that's what they do, is they have different textured shades like that to make it. So this is my fill-in Beastman. So there we go. And now Merman, I've added the 2000X from the castle, so he can have some sort of pitchfork-looking thing or trident. And then, of course, Triclops, I added the staff from Scareglow, and I just think it matches him nicely. I mean, it's a nice green, works out good. Obviously, it's not the glow-in-the-dark one. So there are my bad guys. So I have 6 bad guys and 5 good guys that are my go-to guys all the time. Now let's talk about Trapjaw. Trapjaw was always pretty cool, and the stuff he could do. So one thing is obviously he has interchangeable weapons. So you pull this off, and you could stick on, his claw or his hook. So as time went on, besides the irritation of this not being able to bend right here in the middle, I decided to use different types of weapons in this spot. The first thing I used was from Micronauts, and it was from one of the aliens, and it was like a spinning saw. And this is actually a replica of that, where it has a spinning saw blade, kind of a fun thing. And so I sent it to my friend who cast it with the pieces, so I could put the other one back on my Micronaut, and then I can use this black one here, which is cast in black plastic. So that's kind of fun. Another thing that I made, which many of you guys have seen many times before, is of course the I forgot the name of this. I know it has some kind of blaster name to it. But what's funny about this is these right here are actually grapes from my wife's. She had like this giant wreath that had these little grapes on it, and I stole the grapes off them. This is from a G.I. Joe piece. This is from the thing from Snake Mountain where the net goes across. And then this piece right here was from some kid's toy to build different things. So that was how I made that cool blaster weapon you see in the cartoon quite often. Then I made this hook, and this is made out of some old Spider-Man parts from, I think it was Doc Ock or some kind of alternate Spider-Man. And then I coated the inside of this with hot glue so it could have some grabbers. And then I decided also just to keep one regular for a small claw. There you go. So it can have this cool claw feature and be able to grab things from a distance because he had that in the cartoon. And then another thing that I made was the dropper. Now on my Shapeways, I do also have the dropper on there. I just kind of sanded the front of this so I could stick that on there, and you pick it up. And I put a little crank on it so you can actually turn it and release the string. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Jam that in there. There we go. And there's the dropper, and it has a little crank so you can release it. Now, this piece right here is actually from a G.I. Joe, so is the string. In fact, it's the same piece that I use for the gun here. And I've also, like I said, remade this for the classics too. And it's kind of a fun little deal. And if you ever look at the cartoon, you will see that dropper featured in the cartoon as well. So, kind of a fun little gadget. You can crank it right up. Just wind it right up there as he tries to save different people, whatever. I think in the cartoon he saves or puts it around Merman and lowers him down. So you can kind of see how that works. Let me back this up so you can get a better view of this. There's the crank going up, and there's the crank going down. So kind of a fun little attachment. So that's the kinds of things I used to do with my trap jaw. Add all kinds of different features and attachments to them. This, of course, is my favorite. So there you go. All right. So on to He-Man. So He-Man, one thing that I had to do with He-Man, of course, was to paint his gauntlets right here on his arms. So these actually came skin color originally. And so I have a spare pair of arms that I pre-painted. Here they are. Here's the orange one there and the orange one here. Now some people will use Triclops arms for these, but the skin color doesn't quite match. So you do is just pop these off. It's best to use hot water. Stick that on there. And now he has the orange cuffs, armbands, bracelets, bracers, we want to call them. There we go. To kind of match like he does for the cartoon. All right, on to Ram Man. Now Ram Man's had some pretty bad press lately with He-Man.org. People complaining, saying, hey, Ram Man was a lame figure. Actually, I think Ram Man was pretty cool. I used to use him all the time. Like he could jump super high and take off and jump back again. And he's got the cool, fun feature to ram. Obviously, that's why he's called Ram Man. And I used to always put his arms like that, like he's flying or sometimes hovering. Now, I did replace the tape on here. I got some tape at Christmas time a number of years ago. Actually, my wife got it to wrap some presents, and I just cut it out the shape of his wrist and stuck him on there. But again, really fun feature. You can use him to bowl over a whole bunch of figures if you want to. Fun stuff. All right, on to Teela. So Teela as you guys remember, when she was first released, she came with the armor on, the snake armor. And the snake armor version of her used to be like a magic type person that gave He-Man all his powers. And the one without the snake armor was the regular Tila that, of course, Skeletor always tried to kidnap. And eventually He-Man, her falls in love. So I used to have two, and I'd pretend, well, before I had two, I had one. And I would take off this armor and swap it like she was actually transforming. So she would transform from this Tila to this Tila and back to this one. And nobody knew they were the same one. Then later on, I got two. And then I got this sword right here from some knockoff figures that works really good for her to hang on to. I had to sand the handle so it fits in her hand, but it works really good for that. So now I had the two Tilas. On to Manny Faces. So here we have Manny Faces. Now he's supposed to be the actor. And I don't know why, whenever I saw this sword, it always reminded me of those kids playing those little wooden swords, or you can see it like you see actors have. So I always thought this should be his sword. And then, of course, we saw the Manny weapons that actually came with that sword in brown, but I just kept this all the time. And, of course, he has his cool blaster gun. And the part that makes him so cool, as you guys know, is his namesake, his many faces. Manny Faces. So he could be monster, or he could be a human, hey, or a robot. Beep-de-doop. So there we go. There's Manny Faces, one of my favorites. And when I think of Masters of the Universe, this is the first guy that comes to mind because he just seems to just reek of Masters because he has a cool feature and he's got the muscles everywhere and he has the high-tech stuff. And so he's just like the quintessential Masters of the Universe figure right here. All right, on to Man-at-Arms. All right, here's Man-at-Arms. Now, of course, he's supposed to be a man of many weapons because he's a man-at-arms. So I loaded him up with a gun and a sword just like I have for Manny Faces. And then I gave him a second club. This way, if he loses his club or gets knocked out of his hand, he is on the ready to grab his next club and keep going. So he has two clubs. Now, a lot of times when I was a kid, I would use a second leg thing if I had one to put on his other leg. So there you go. And a lot of times, too, I'd stuff his head down and stick it inside like he was breathing in there. So it was like he had a spot to breathe in case there was some kind of mist in the air or something else. And it looks like it would do that because there's an oxygen tank right here or something going on there. All right. So when I was a kid, if my mom said, hey, you can grab one figure, we're going to the store or whatever, my go-to figure, believe it or not, was none of these. None of these were my go-to figure if I could only grab one. If I could only grab one, it would be Cyclone. Now, I know you're like, wait a minute, Cyclone's not one of your favorites. Why'd you choose him? I don't know why. Just when you only have one figure to choose, Cyclone's kind of a fun one. He's got the lenticular sticker, which is kind of fun. And, of course, he has the action feature, which causes him to spin. And I could just spend hours spinning this when I was a kid. My thumb would get raw from spinning this around. But it was just so much fun. And, of course, one fun feature with this guy is you put his hands up like this, he can now punch like the Flash. See, you turn him around, you go, hap, 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 and he can just totally smash someone in the head back and forth. Kind of a really cool, fun feature. Now, again, he wasn't my go-to guy that I would grab for my main figures whenever I just play with all of them. But like I said, in a pinch, I can only grab one. It would be Cyclone. All right, I'm not quite on memory lane yet. I'm getting close. So as you guys know, I've also made my Hebrew figures. It's been remade many times. This is the newest version. Now, of course, I made this Bible for him a long time ago. It's just a piece of that baking sculpting material, and I just baked it on there. It doesn't actually open or anything. It was the first one I ever made for him. Now, this armor is new. This is actually from Classics, and a friend of mine made a bunch of these for me, and so I decided to use one of them for my old Hebrew figure. So there is Hebrew. All right, on to Battle Cat. Now, we know we never got Cringer. We always had a Battle Cat. So back a long time ago, I'd have armor on, armor off. Armor off, he was Cringer. Armor on, he was Battle Cat. I'm sure a lot of people did the exact same thing. Now, what's cool is you just stick He-Man on there, and bam, he has a cool ride now. I used to always like to turn him like that and put his shield down there, turn his head, and he looks like he is just ready for battle at that point. Raise his battle axe up, and there we go. There's He-Man ready to take on anybody with his cat. Very cool, very fun. Now, another fun thing was when I was a kid, I bought the birds. You guys know those birds. At first, we didn't know what they were for because the cartoon wasn't quite out yet. But then eventually we saw this is supposed to be the sorceress. But when I was a kid, I didn't know that. And so I thought these were battle birds, which is what I think they were made for originally. So what I would do is I would have He-Man with his battle bird. And of course, it makes a really cool staff for him to hang on to. And then I would have Skeletor, and I'd have his battle bird, and they'd battle them out, fly them towards each other. They got lasers or whatever else, and they could send them in to attack the bad guys. And so there it was. There was Skeletor and He-Man with their giant battle birds. One thing that used to kind of bother me a little bit was you could not put the birds directly onto the figure. I always wanted to stick it on their arms, like they rose their arm up and the bird just flew to them. And you could kind of get it on there, but not the best. And so I, try to balance him on there, get him on his arm, and lots of pain as a kid, hoping he would balance just right to fly to Skeletor's arm. Oh, let's try this one more time, and if not, then I will give up. Huh, 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 huh. Oh, hey, there we go. Look at that. Balancing on the arm. All right. So let's move on. So let's talk about different variations of He-Man. So, of course, one of the variations we saw right off the bat when you were kids is we saw Battle Armor He-Man. Now, this was actually my first He-Man figure was Battle Armor He-Man. I actually got him before I actually got He-Man himself, so this was my main He-Man. In fact, the funny thing was I actually got Zodak before I got He-Man. So I used to pretend like it was He-Man in a mask. So this was my He-Man figure for a while until I actually got my Battle Armor He-Man. And so here was my Battle Armor He-Man. And one thing that I thought was really interesting is my very first figure was Skeletor. And we know that Skeletor came with his purple sword and his Havoc staff. And when I first saw this purple sword, I thought it was flat because when they manufactured it, it was just a one-sided mold and they just didn't have the quality or the detail to do both sides. And then when I got my Battle Armor He-Man and I got his sword, I was like, wait a minute, this one has a bump on there. And the comic should merge, and I could not believe that these two could actually fit together and become one giant sword. And I thought that was just totally cool. In fact, so cool, let me show you on the giant swords here, that you can just see how cool this concept is, these two swords merging into one giant master sword that can open the castle door and do all kinds of cool stuff and superpower and everything else. So of course that was the storyline of the majority of my stories when I was a kid, was how that worked. Now, one figure I never quite understood was Faker. Now this is actually the commemorative one, but I used to always give Faker either the blue axe and the blue sword because I thought that kind of fit him better because he was blue. But either way, now the commemorative one did not come with a sticker, so I had to actually add the sticker. I found a guy online that sold these really cool cloth stickers, so it's actually like a cloth type material. And the nice part about that is it's actually a lot stronger and better than the normal stickers that come with it, and so it's been lasted for a long time. All right, on to my other variants. We had a variant for Skeletor, and he was Battle Armor Skeletor. Now, Battle Armor Skeletor did not come with these giant claws like this. I actually added these later on. When I heard about the Battle Armor figures never had the spring in the waist the same way. So, because there's not enough room for the Battle Armor feature and the spring. So I decided to add these claws, just like the claw Skeletor that they had at the release. But these claws here are from a special Wolverine. And it wasn't until years later I added them. Just used some Velcro strips that are double-sided, cut them off in there, and then strapped them around his arms. And now he has battle armor and giant claws. And when he rides on his Panther, He-Man better watch out, because, I mean, this is a force to be reckoned with. There we go. Skeletor and his battle claws on his cat. That's pretty cool. All right. So, of course, you start making your own variants. This one I made just recently, and this is my Ice Armor He-Man. He's made out of commemorative Zodak, and the original He-Man arms, so it's closer to his skin color. And then I painted the boots. And, of course, Zodak has the white and gray skin or shorts already. I thought it was funny using the hairy chest because it's supposed to be for snow and ice. And then, of course, this is from the 2000X He-Man. And the nice part is the battle axe does fit. A little bit of effort right in there. There you go. So that's kind of cool. All right, so what I want from you guys is let me know which Man-at-Arms I should use. Should I use the new Super 7 one, which is pretty cool, and I actually like the way they did it, except for the legs? Or should I stick with the original Man-at-Arms? So you guys in the comments, leave comments below. Let me know which one I should use. And then we will talk about that more. Now, before I go, of course, we do have Stratos. And Stratos, of course, got the blue weapons to match his blue stuff. And so I usually just give him just the battle axe. Herp. There we go. As well as you guys saw earlier, I also give Beastman the battle axe too. And it's blue because he has a blue dot on his armor. But he's not one of my go-to guys, but, you know, he's good to have in battle if you need a guy to get shot out of the sky and lose. So this is usually my guy who loses. And then I have my custom Wonder Bread He-Man. Now this Wonder Bread He-Man is actually made from, nice, something on him. He's actually made from a Fisto. And so this Fisto figure, I picked him because his shorts are already brown and the belt is already a dark purple. So to paint it black is not much effort. And then the legs, I believe, are actually from a Battle Armor He-Man. I painted them black. And then, of course, the arms are from He-Man as well. Now, because it is made from a Fisto, he still has a spring action. I left that on there so everyone knows it's an imitation, so I don't try to trick anybody. And then, of course, he has his black gun that I got from the weapons pack with the Zodak armor. And then I have some brown weapons to match. So there we go. There is my custom Wonder Bread He-Man. All right. I think I just about covered everything. And, of course, we have Prince Adam, which I think is a really cool figure. And, of course, who doesn't think Prince Adam is cool? I just really like his color scheme. And, of course, it's He-Man, so that's really cool, too. And then, of course, you got the bird lady, the sorceress, and her wings. Oh man, let's get on this. There we go. Now, it took you a while to figure out how to make her wings work. Oh, I guess I got her staff in the other room. But basically, you just push the tail or pull the tail. There you go, and they pop out. And that's kind of a fun feature. And there she is. All right. And I think that's all I have. I know it's kind of a long video. One thing that's kind of cool is if you ever get a hold of these swords are actually double-sided swords. And these come from a board game. What is that game called? I don't remember what it's called. I'll post it in the comments later. If you guys know what it's called, you can post it in the comments. But it's kind of cool because I used to get a bunch of these and paint them either gray or purple so that He-Man and Skeletor can have their full sword instead of just the halves. And they do fit in their hands. I think it's called Battle for Eternia. I'm not sure. Anyway, I got the game in the closet. I'll have to take a look at it later. And there is the cool swords that it came with like 11 of them, I think. All right, so there you go. There's a walk down memory lane with me. Thanks for joining me. Make sure to like, share. I do have these things going on Shapeways tonight, so if you want to order your own bases for your figures, this one's already on Shapeways. I have both the solid one and I have a hollow one that costs $3 less. When you get yours, they will not be clear. They actually do come solid, and you can choose the color you want. So they won't be cool clear like this, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I know that is a really cool feature. But this is too much effort to try to print more of these in that cool clear. So shape-wise it is for you guys. Sorry about that. All right. I've been on for over 25 minutes, probably my longest live video ever. And for those that join me, thank you. And I will see you guys next video. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. And I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for watching. Bye now.